and welcome to another episode of Preparing for the Unexpected. I'm your host, Alex Fullick, and as always, we like to talk about all things related to business continuity, disaster planning, crisis management, emergency response, and anything that can be related to those subjects. Either, being impacted, being a part of them, being professionals or community members. We like to talk about anything related to those areas. As always, if there are any subjects you would like us to talk about on the show, please feel free. Go to the Voice America website, and on the Preparing for the Unexpected homepage, there is a button there that says Send Host an Email, and you can send me a note with what it is you'd like us to talk about, and I can either find a guest to bring on the show or maybe make arrangements and have you come on the show and talk about what it is you'd like others to know. I've mentioned on the show before that I like to read a lot. I do take a train into work every day and a train home every day in an hour, so I'm reading 2 hours a day. I read at home, and often I'm looking for new subjects and new ideas and potential guests to bring on the show. And that includes going through old magazines and books that I have on the shelf, which is quite a few. And I came across one a little while ago, an old Disaster Recovery Journal magazine from the summer of 2016, so almost 2 years ago. And I noticed when I got to this page, there was a lot of pink highlight all over the place. And I realized, hey, this was an article that caught my attention back then, and it still catches my attention now. So I thought I'd reach out to the author of this article, someone who I've actually known of. We've never met, but I've actually known of this gentleman for a while from other conferences. And I'm really honored to have him on the show. I think he has a lot of great experience, and you're going to find this topic really interesting. The topic we're going to talk about is, has the traditional BIA run its course? Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are probably gasping right now and heresy, how can he say that? But this will be a very interesting chat. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce the author of that article, Mr. John Jackson. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alex. It's wonderful to be on here, and I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts.
And that's why I wanted you here. I thought this article was a great piece to bring forward, and I knew you had some great thoughts in here, and that's what I wanted to capture on the show. So before we get started into that discussion, can you tell us a bit about yourself for those that may not know who you are? How you got into the industry, and what you're doing now, and a little bit about yourself.
I'd be glad to. And just interestingly, you mentioned that the article was in 2016. I think if I wrote the article today, it would have the same message and same meaning. So I don't think the time has had anything to do with the quality of the content. But I've been in the business continuity disaster recovery business for just coming up on 40 years now.
Wow.
I started in the IT business going back to the late 60s. And grew up in the data center. Grew up in data center management and system software. And interestingly, in the 78-79 period, we were moving a data center from the city of Chicago to one of the suburbs, Glenview, Illinois. And we had planned this out. We had built the new data center. We had everything ready to go. And almost embarrassingly now for me to say this, my boss, the VP of Information Systems, said to me, well, what happens if we can't get the new system up? What happens if there's a problem with the building? What happens if there's a problem moving the hardware? And I was stunned. I said, what could possibly go wrong, Frank? Because we had planned it out. And honestly, at that point in time, business continuity, disaster recovery was not even on the radar of a lot of folks. The disaster recovery industry was just getting started with companies like SunGard and Comdisco coming in building disaster recovery hot sites. But the bottom line is we got the data center moved and everything went perfectly, but I was bitten by the disaster recovery bug in the late 70s. So I went on after that, started a company in Chicago called Shicor Information Management in 1980 that was in the consulting business for continuity and recovery. We actually built the first industry's first planning tool, TRPS, and during the 80 to 84 timeframe, we became the consulting arm of Comdisco, which was in the disaster recovery hot site business. So I joined Comdisco in 1984 to help start their disaster recovery consulting business, and moved up through an 18-year career with Comdisco. I ran their European business continuity operation for several years. I started several disaster recovery businesses in Asia Pacific and Australia, and was at Comdisco up through 2001 when the disaster recovery business of Comdisco was sold to SunGard. After a short stint at SunGard, I went on to IBM and ran their disaster recovery business continuity resilience division for a couple of years. And then 12 years ago, a group of us that had worked together before founded Fusion Risk Management, originally as a consulting firm, but now a very successful software as a service company addressing risk management, business continuity with a product called the Fusion Framework. And we've grown from two of us originally, David Nolan and myself, up to 100 folks right now.
Wow.
I do a lot of speaking at conferences. I'm on the editorial board for Continuity Insights and the Disaster Resource Guide, and I'm on the executive council for Disaster Recovery Journal. And I'm also very involved in a private-public organization called InfraGuard, which is a public-private partnership with the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. So that's a little bit about me and my background in the industry. Pretty extensive, about 40 years now.
Wow, it's not you just have a lot of background in the industry, you help build the industry.
Well, I guess so. That's maybe I turned 71 this year, Alex, and I'm still I still love it. I'm still active. I still speak at conferences. It's just one of those things that drives me crazy. In fact, my wife was even in the business for many years. So we're a disaster recovery business continuity household.
So you could say your family is a disaster?
I don't think I better say that because she'll probably listen to this broadcast. But we do a lot of planning. We're both community emergency response team trained and do a lot to support the community also.
Well, that's great. Yeah, obviously, I've got a great person to have on the show to talk about this because, as you said as well, the article that I referenced here about BIAs, kind of whenever it was written, especially over the last few years, it could be fresh today as it was way back then. So I'm glad to have you on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So for our listeners, we have listeners around the globe, and some people have a lot of experience with BIAs or business impact analyses. For anybody who might not know what that stands for, and varying levels of expertise. And I'm wondering if you could take a couple of minutes and just kind of tell us traditionally, what is a BIA supposed to do? What is it, so that everyone gets context as to where we're going to be going next?
Absolutely. And I want to say, for those people who, as you said, might think this is heresy, the business impact analysis can still be an important part of people's program. It's not that the process of doing the assessment and analysis is flawed. My my opinion is, and my experience bears this out, that the way we go about doing a business impact analysis as a point-in-time exercise has a lot of flaws. When I think about a business impact analysis, I think about identifying the most critical business processes for the organization. And that's important because that allows us to assist in determining the appropriate strategies for continuity. So you can't just say we're going to write a plan to recover the entire organization all at once. So there has to be an understanding of what's critical, what's not critical, what time frames are involved, what people are involved, so that the recovery can take place, the strategies can be built, and the recovery can take place in a prioritized and a timely fashion. So that's just a little bit about what the business impact assessment is. One of the things that I think is a problem with the business impact analysis is that it focuses in many cases on the wrong things, and it focuses on them in the wrong way.
So can you give a couple of examples? What kind of things does it focus on that are stressed
Sure.
incorrectly?
Yeah. Well, first of all, when people typically do a business impact analysis, they ask about financial impact, they ask about operational impact, and they ask about legal and regulatory impact. But they do that at the department level typically. And in most cases, the way the questions are asked and the way it's approached, the people that are being interviewed don't have the proper context to answer the questions. I have done many BIAs in the past where the sum total of the financial impact exceeds by 2 or 3 times the revenue of the organization.
You know what? I thought I was the only person who experienced that because I've gone through that too. I'm glad to know I'm not alone.
No, it's because people are asking questions that the interviewee doesn't have good context in terms of how to answer. First of all, typical BIAs are presented in a scenario agnostic fashion. In other words, they don't paint a picture for the interviewee of what has happened. I don't believe that one BIA response can fit all situations. An IT outage, a facility outage, a supplier outage that could occur. That lack of perspective on the situation that may occur puts responders in a difficult position to answer, as each potential outage type will typically impact a BIA responder differently. I also think that the organization's capability to recover is not factored into the questioning during the BIA process. So people say, what would happen if the IT systems were down for a day, a week, a month, 6 months? But in fact, the organization may have a very robust IT disaster recovery capability that allows them to recover in 48 hours or 72 hours or 24 hours. So why ask people what the impact would be in a week or a month when that's never going to be the situation that occurs? So again, questions that in some case make sense, but they're flawed in the fact that they don't present the right position, the right situation to the people. I think the fact that those generic questions are asked leaves out the fact that if you're going to do a business impact study, and we call it that, a business impact management study, it's important to learn what impacts can affect the organization. So I have said to many, many, many people, before you start building the questions, read the organization's annual report. read the organization's 10K. Look for key performance indicators. Look for what's important to an organization. Maybe it's a research and development organization, and they're not really focused on revenue. They're focused on product development and market share and things like that. So I think it's important. I think one of the problems, I should say, with the BIA in the past, Alex, is number one, it's not presented in a context that allows people to give good answers. Number two, I think it asks questions that aren't relevant to what's going on in the particular organization. And I think, the lack of those things, combined with some of my other comments, creates a output of a process that doesn't have the value that it does. It frustrates the interviewees. They lose confidence in the information that's provided. As I stated before, if it's all about financials and the financials exceed the revenue of the company and management looks at that, they say, well, this doesn't make any sense. So then the whole thing starts to lose credibility. So, those are some of my thoughts about what is wrong with the traditional BIA today.
And on that point, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We're talking with John Jackson. Has the traditional BIA run its course? We'll be right back. If you like that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.